if you were to work with a client on a new website and they didn't have any content written, are there any certain strategies or processes that you use to write that content that you want to be as optimized as possible out of the gate?
Yeah. First of all, I would be pretty insistent to not make the project depend upon the client writing it.
Oh yeah.
The clients will never get to it.
I'm not even.
In our example is the exact right. We'll never get to our own content. Yeah. So I would just build into the budget and make sure they understand. I know you think you can save money and do that, but you're never going to get to it. And then you're never going to launch and you're never going to see the benefits. So rather than do it, let's at least get a writer to put 500 words on the page. Like that's bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I would make sure that they understood that for their own good, they need to hire someone to, or build it into the price of the project.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've worked with a lot of clients that frankly are really difficult on writing. Like I got a law firm. Like a lawyer's job is to say no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that. So writing content for lawyers is work. It's terrible. They just won't approve anything. So we had to develop strategies to get content. So one of the biggest strategies we do is I will get on the phone and interview the lawyer about a topic. One 15-minute interview I can give to almost an infinite number of different writers and say, come up with 2 or 3 articles from this 15-minute interview. And each writer will see something different in that interview, write it on behalf of whoever they're interviewing. And then frankly, if that lawyer says, I don't like this is wrong, you can say, but this is exactly what you said. Right. You said this is verbatim what you said, right? Yeah. And so that helps. People are a lot easier find it easier to talk about their subject than they are to write about it.
Yeah, right.
And so you can do that. There's a transcription service I like called SpeechPad that really makes that easy, because you call SpeechPad will call you and then connect you with them, record your call, and then you pay to transcribe it if you want them to. And the transcriptions are pretty good and not very expensive. And usually they turn them around faster than they say. So then I've got a transcript, and at the worst, I can just edit the transcript and publish it as an interview. At the worst.
Right.
But if I really want something good, I will give it to a writer and say, hey, here's something someone said. I'm sure there's 2 or 3 topics in here. Can you just write them out for me? Now we've got some good content. I do this with another client that's got almost the opposite problem. Like they can barely explain what they do. Lawyers, everybody knows what a lawyer does, but this company builds things that people don't even know exist, except for the people looking for it. So it's really hard for them to explain to us what they do, let alone, yeah, it's just so hard. So what we have to do with them is do the interview process where we call them and say, okay, talk about whatever the heck this is, because I don't understand it at all. And they could just blah, 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 blah about it. Great. Now we've got it written down. And at least we can look at it, wrap our brain around it.
Yeah.
And then write it.
Right.
I just talked to another writer today. She gave me this really great idea, which was you can write out some questions for a client. You know, we could use, like, one of the keyword research processes involved is use a tool like keyword.io and come up with questions that people are asking about your subject. You know, how much should I pay for web development? How do you hire a good web developer? What do you look for in a good website? These are questions people want to know. So she will send a list of questions to somebody and just say, hey, on your iPhone, like, send me a voice memo that answers these questions. And she doesn't even have to have it transcribed. She just takes the voice memo, and now so the person's doing the interview on their convenience. You don't have to find a common time on the calendar when they're available. They could do it 11 o'clock at night. No one will care, as long as they send it to you. Now you got a recording of them, and it's so much easier for them to talk about what they do than it is for them.
Yeah.
So I like that strategy as well, because I think most people who own a business really love what they do and they know what they're talking about. They just might not be a good writer, because it's really a different skill set.
Right.
And if you can get them talking about what they love or what they do, or, you know, like in your mom's case, you know, stories about situations where it's like, oh, we had a client and they didn't think this would happen, but we were able to solve the problem. And you can make it anonymous and not talk about, you know, the particular details so the client's not embarrassed. But even those stories can make really interesting blog posts that are very unique and helpful. Someone else may have a similar problem. Yeah. But like getting those recordings, getting people on the phone is a really great way to unlock some content ideas, especially if it's highly regulative or very, very specialty, that it's hard for a mere mortal to understand what the heck this is about.
Yeah.